He came to us long ago, a lone survivor of a forbidden planet that is now gone, its culture forever lost. While there are few survivors that still remain, might well say the entire culture, the entire legacy is gone. All except for one lone survivor, who would become the greatest hero that Earth would ever know. Depending on what you want to call him, the big blue boy scout, the blue angel with the red wings, the world's greatest hero, it doesn't matter. He had done much throughout his entire lifespan. But, even though he is a god amongst mortals, there always comes a time where gods must die. Greetings, kids and nerds, and ladies and universe, I'm White Nerdy, and welcome back to SuperJune, where we are going to be celebrating the months of Superman and his super family all June long. And last time we took a look at Superman Batman Public Enemies, one of my favorite adaptations of the two characters, and by the work of Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness. The sequel, Superman Batman Apocalypse, is a piece of garbage that I talked about. I don't remember when. But we are now going to be talking about Superman Doomsday, one of the all-time best Superman movies, according to a lot of people. This is supposedly the official ending of Superman the Animated Series, because Superman the Animated Series didn't exactly have a, you might well say, official ending, and this unites nobody from the original voice cast. Yeah, shock of shocks, isn't it? Uniting together a quite weird voice cast of Adam Baldwin, Anne Hatch, James Marsters, John DiMaggio, Tom Kenny, Swoosie Kurt, Creed Summers, Ray Wise, and Adam Wiley. So, aside from Creed Summers, who was in Superman the Animated Series, nobody even comes close to being in the same league. But this is supposedly the ending of the series. The original Superman the Animated Series did want to do the Death of Superman and the Return of Superman arc, but unfortunately Warner Brothers was not very good with doing that. If you know the history behind Batman and Superman the Animated Series, you know that Warner Brothers gave everybody, especially Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, the middle finger and said, "Hey, you want to introduce Jason Todd into Batman the Animated Series? You can't do that." "Oh, what's that? You want to have the Death and Return of Superman? You're not allowed to do that." Until finally, in 2008, this movie was announced to the world, and it became a global icon. I remember catching it once, I think at either 8 or 9 o'clock one weekend on Cartoon Network, and absolutely fell in love with the movie. Not really ever noticing that this was the supposed ending to Superman the Animated Series. And in case anybody needs a clue, right there is the Superman the Animated Series look. So, with a different origin for Doomsday, one that I actually kind of like. So, we saw the death of Superman and Lois, so now what's different than that version? Well, this Doomsday is not Bizarro, but it has a very unique twist on it. And what's so unique about this movie, and why does every Superman fan recommend this movie to you? Well, let's dive into Superman Doomsday and see the death and the mighty return of the Man of Steel. Down in Metropolis, everything is going well, especially for Superman, aka Clark Kent, who seems to be gearing up to go on a very long trip. Or, well, so his boss Perry White thinks. Meanwhile, for Lex Luthor and Luthor Corps, they are digging down deep in the earth to try to find a clean and usable power source, but instead the team finds something way worse.
Oh, hell no!
Meanwhile, at the Fortress of Solitude, Superman is hard at work to try to find a cure for cancer, but unfortunately, every road he goes down just ends in disaster. But things are really heating up because Lois is in love with Superman in this version. Yes, that's right, Lois didn't fall in love with Clark, but instead she fell in love with Superman. As the film creatively pointed out earlier, Clark is still trying to get Lois to notice him, but unfortunately for the poor boy from Smallville, Lois notices nothing except Superman. As for Superman, it's hard to try to tell Lois the truth when he wants to hide the secret from her only for her safety and for her protection. That is until he gets some bad news. There's a creature that's loose on Earth and it's destroying Metropolis. Its nickname, Doomsday. But that's not all what's interesting about Doomsday or this Doomsday weapon. Doomsday originally is a weapon from Krypton. It's a Krypton Doomsday weapon that was used in order to kill people until it went crazy. Because instead of seeing certain foreign objects or certain foreign people as subjects or basically threats, it started seeing everything as a threat and became a war machine. With no choice, the Man of Steel had nothing else to do but to try to protect the people in Metropolis and stop this Doomsday weapon that his family pretty much destroyed once and for all. But Doomsday definitely proved his words in this movie because Doomsday will stop at nothing until Superman is no longer breathing or is bleeding out. As for both Superman and Doomsday, they end up destroying the entire city of Metropolis. No one is safe while they are battling, even though Superman tried to keep the civilians out of harm's way. That is until the unthinkable, the unimaginable, the uneventful ends up happening. The death of Superman. As after that, Superman officially dies. The world mourns, and the world must come to terms to what's gonna happen to get with the Man of Steel gone from the city of Metropolis. On in short, the world goes to hell in a handbasket rather quickly. Crime is rampant, cities are up, criminals are on the loose, and nobody knows who's gonna save Metropolis next. However, for our dear old friend and bald-headed beautiful boy, Lex Luthor, he is the one that's suffering the worst of this. As it was Luthor's arrogance that got ahead of him, his selfishness, his desire to act, to make the people love him more, and to destroy his longtime nemesis. And Lex got what he finally wanted, but at what cost? He couldn't destroy his own nemesis. He had this creation that he never desired to create actually do it. Speaking of things going from bad to worse, the villain, Toyman, a longtime Superman villain, actually kidnaps a busload of kids and intends to hold them hostage until someone comes back.
Here, stop. Be right back.
And thanks to Superman stopping Toyman, everybody believed the Man of Steel was back, and he was. But he wasn't officially the same. Because as it turns out, this Superman is indeed a clone that was created by Lex Luthor, only for him to beat up and to fool the world that Superman has come back even though he's still dead. Because for our dear supervillain Lex Luthor, he had Superman held captive, so he can make millions upon millions upon millions of clones of Superman.
Motherfucker, are you out of your damn mind?
I guess Lex wasn't thinking of the precautions of ended up happening if he actually cloned Superman like 1,000 times over, especially how he would definitely have a wand of Superman on his hand. Anyways, for the super clone, as we'll end up calling him, he's not exactly what you would call the nicest guy around, or at least at all. Because when Toyman, by accident or intentionally killed a little girl, Superman drops him from so many stories up high and ends up killing him on purpose. This Superman becomes a lot more violent and a lot more different than the Superman that we're all used to and the one that we especially know and love. However, there is some good news. The original Superman is actually well. Well, not exactly. He still has a long way of healing to go, but he had no idea the state that Metropolis is in at the current moment. And as I joked about, I wasn't kidding. Lex was intending to create a bunch of Superman for a Superman army to end up taking over the world, as far as I can tell. And with this new Superman on the loose, everyone is worried about what he's gonna do. About if he should be the threat that we all should be worried about, if he'll become our new savior. As the entire world sees the return of Superman, and a different Superman, as the entire world has to wonder what's going to happen, but the two titans must clash.
All right. Fuck it. Let's give the people what they came for. Let's fucking go.
As the two Supermen collapse, They clashed together, a clash of the Titans, good Superman against evil Superman, but only one can actually turn out to be the official winner of this contest. As it turns out, Mullet Boy over there actually was the real Superman the entire time. Yup, and Superman is back, and he finally is ready to stay around and stick around. Not only that, he intends to make things up with Lois, especially for the things that he didn't tell her. And of course, he tells Lois his basically biggest, deepest secret. And so that was Superman Doomsday, and it really is a damn good movie. A really damn good adaptation of The Death of Superman. I would admit I'm not one of those people that actually read The Death of Superman. Maybe at some point I'll check it out and see if it's any good or whatnot. But granted, where credit is due, Bruce Timm really did capture the death of Superman the way that he wanted to, especially trying to capture the best side of Superman, his human side. And I love how this film creatively did what the Death of Superman movie I reviewed last year didn't do. Clark identity crisis. You have to remember that Clark always has a struggle with telling people his true identity, and biggest case was Lois. However, in the Death of Superman, it wasn't that he wasn't going to tell her, it was the fact of whether he wanted to invite her into his world by making her his wife, which wasn't handled very well. Here, it's handled beautifully. He keeps flipping back and forth in his head, trying to figure out, should I tell my girlfriend the biggest secret, or do I just hide it from her and see what she said later on? It's definitely worth it, and the way that Bruce Timm handled it, especially the brilliant casting of Adam Baldwin, as Superman, he really handled that really well. The story is perfect, the directing is excellent, the music scores are superb, especially when Superman dies. That nice little tune that plays out just nails the emotional impact that they wanted to have. And so, Superman Doomsday is one of the best adaptations of the Death of Superman. The Death of Superman was okay, and it was great, but it was nothing like Superman Doomsday, which really is, in my opinion, the supreme adaptation. And that is why my Funko Pop rating of Superman Doomsday gets the Supreme Strange, because out of all the adaptations, it's the one that reigns supreme. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon to notify every time I make an upload, and follow me on Twitter with a link in the description down below. And tell me what is your favorite adaptation of basically the Death of Superman. But my personally, Superman Doomsday. But I'd love to hear your opinions down below. And by best adaptation, I mean both live action and animated. It doesn't matter. Well, there's more SuperJune on the way, and thank you guys so much for watching. I believe info is about new to keep on. Next time, we're gonna go away from the movie universe and go straight into some Grant Morrison comic books of Superman. Starting with the great celebration of where Superman first learned to jump, not fly. Till next time.